I've always had issues staying on top of walls and not falling off. Do something like getting on a ladder or falling off a ladder or almost dying for 97 fall damage, or I'm going to take out my two-handed. There's no point in using a one-handed any foot. Hello and welcome back to our Sturgian Viking. We're starting a little bit more slowly this time around, because usually what we do is we go into a fight almost immediately, but well, we might be doing that in a minute or so. But anyway, I wanted to show you something very specific here. Basically, I've upgraded my armor and I've also upgraded my boots. Now, the main problem with upgrading my armor, as you can no doubt tell, is this is Imperial armor, and it's definitely something that I am not a terribly big fan of in terms of the look of it. However, the main problem with my armor previously is that it was significantly worse than this. It gave me 8 less body armor, 2 less leg armor, and 2 less arm armor, and that is pretty awful, isn't it? Yeah, that's pretty awful. So this is a significant upgrade. However, the main problem that I was facing is that I couldn't find any better armor in Sturgian territory. I know someone did actually mention that you can get some good armor from one of the prosperous towns in Sturgia, or you can attempt to do so. And I looked through all of the marketplaces that I could get to within range, and there's nothing. There's nothing there that is actually going to give me a significant upgrade. And if it does give me a significant upgrade in terms of protection, it's going to make the weight skyrocket so dramatically that I just don't really want to bother, because it's going to make us move extremely slowly on the battlefield, and as an infantry, it's not going to be a very good idea. So in comparison, that armor is about 20 weight, whereas this is 10. So that's literally half. It's really, really significant. So anyway, I have otherwise sold a lot of my stuff, as you can no doubt tell here. Look at this. I literally sold a huge amount of stuff, and I now have 60,000 coming to us once again. And I was actually on my way to the Crusade. Alright, so I have actually just come to Vanovapol, and as you can see, we have 2 siege towers up and running. Unfortunately, it appears as though the enemy is somewhat ready for us, and you can see here they have about 5 vassals ready to attack us. I can only assume that the only reason they're not doing that is because they are awaiting a very large army to come along, and then they can intercept us. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to complete building the battering ram, which is definitely something I very much enjoy making, because it just adds so many more tactical options when we actually get into the siege. But I'm going to just go in straight away here, because as you could no doubt tell, there's only about 200 or so units in the garrison as defenders, and it is going to make, well, it's going to make this very simple. Unfortunately, we didn't have any time to get the walls down, and again, the battering ram is generally the easiest way of getting inside if you have to go this route. Anyway, let's see if we can do something here. The siege tower is going to be a bit significantly problematic, and I know actually someone actually did mention that they wanted to see us go up the siege tower, so there you go. I guess you got your wish there. Completely involuntarily on my part, even though I was actually thinking about doing that anyway, because I think it's quite fun. I think we've done it a couple of times in other series, but in this one we definitely do tend to favor the battering ram quite often. But anyway, let's see what we can do here, and hopefully we will not suffer too many casualties as we move the siege tower to the walls. Alright, so we're starting to lose quite a few units here, and I find it very strange, by the way, that there's a huge mound of dirt right here. Considering this tower thing, there's no way 6 guys are going to be able to push that up this incline. I mean, they may be strong, but they're not going to be able to push it all the way up there. I think that's a little bit too much, but who am I to say? You know, maybe they're just so incredibly strong that they'd be able to push this massive, well, structure made of wood and metal all the way up there. I don't think so personally, but, you know, it is a game after all. It's not going to be entirely accurate every single step of the way. But otherwise, let's see if I can get up here. This is obviously going to be a bit problematic. There we go. I like the way that the transition works with being able to get your character on the siege tower ladder, because usually in other games you're going to have to press F or E or some kind of interactive interactive key or something like that to be able to do something like getting on a ladder or falling off a ladder or almost dying for 97 fall damage or whatever the case may be. Let's oh dear, yes. Right, okay, well I'm going to tell everyone to charge in while I'm still alive, because we want them all to go super hard against the opponent here to try and reduce the amount of casualties that we take, but yeah, that happens to me more often than I'd like to say. Oh yes, it certainly does. And we are ending up losing quite a few units, but nothing too dramatic. I know a couple of people actually said, what difficulty settings am I using? Well, the description does say, because I do receive quite a few questions about that in the past, and I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna just put it in the description, and hopefully that's gonna solve a lot of people's questions without them having to spend the effort in typing out something. But anyway, point is, I am always playing on realistic unless stated otherwise, so it's always going to be realistic combat. Well, actually, it's challenging combat, isn't it? Something like that. So challenging combat, realistic damage modifiers across the board. That means realistic for troops, realistic for friendly parties, realistic for myself, and, well, everything in between. So basically everything maxed out as much as you possibly can. Unfortunately, there isn't a percentage difficulty in Bannerlord like there was in Warband, so I can't accurately say, hey, I've got, 89% or 178 million% or whatever whatever the case may be. No, that's just Amazon's earnings last year. No, let's not go there. Anyway, let's otherwise there you go, that's it. Wow, that was actually great. I survived. Can you believe it? I can't. Anyway, there's 210 renown. I think 210 renown is basically the most renown we can actually gain from any one activity, which is actually quite amazing. But there you go, 210 renown, 150 influence, not too bad. We have 29 prisoners in my prisoners hold at the moment, and I think I'm actually going to be taking Vanovapol for myself, because as I said before in the previous episode, I think it would be a rather nice idea for us to have some kind of launching pad to be able to attack from pretty much anywhere in the world. So, for example, if I do end up taking I don't know, Amitatis, for example, then I'll probably take that, or maybe I can launch attacks from Rote. Doesn't really matter either way. They're pretty close by to each other, so we probably already have a pretty decent area coverage over there. So I'm thinking that we'll probably take control of Vanovapol for the most part, because I don't know whether I really trust any of the AI at this point. It feels like the AI is always looking to backstab me in some way. I might be a bit paranoid now because of all the defections that have been going on, but yeah, I don't know, maybe you would be too in this case. I mean, maybe, it's kind of sad, it's kind of sad to see those guys that you've been fighting alongside tooth and nail just all of a sudden up and leave. It's just kind of a bit disappointing. But otherwise, I'm just going to buy a bunch of food, and we're just going to wait here for some time, because I would assume that these guys are probably going to try and take this. Oh, never mind. Alvar is coming. Yes, perfection. That is an absolutely perfect timing on his part. Okay, I'm going to try and hunt these guys down as fast as I possibly can, reduce their combat strength really, really quickly, and then we're going to be declaring war against the Western Empire, which, as you can see, is actually a maybe decent idea. If we can capture more towns, then our combat strength is going to continue skyrocketing up, and never mind, look at that. It looks as though I will not even be able to, well, choose myself in this case, which is absolutely fine with me. I was doing it literally just for convenience sake, basically. And in this case, I have no idea who to go for, so I'm actually just going to abstain here, and we're just going to allow whoever it is, Vidar, I suppose, to be able to choose between Yorig and Fafan. That seems like a good idea. So there you go. He's actually going to choose Yorig here. Oh, Servic, actually. Wait a minute. Servic? No way. I'm never going to give you anything, sir. Yeah, Servic is obviously the new vassal that we persuaded in the previous episode. And he has negative 79 relation with us. He hates us. Absolutely hates us. But that's okay. Because, you know, if he leaves, he's not really taking anything with him. He has nothing. And I'm actually surprised that this guy is able to run faster than us. I don't exactly know how that is. Oh, it's because it's because he has a huge amount of cavalry, isn't it? He's actually, wait a minute. He's not going to need food. He's not got any food. Okay, that's perfect timing again. Very nicely done indeed. And as he continues to lose a lot of people, it is going to make him slower and slower. Oh, yes. Oh, come on, let's catch up. Come on, Iceni. You can run faster than that. Yeah, maybe we'll just catch up because he seems to be going into a somewhat dead end. Maybe I can do a little bit of sneaky by sort of heading him off a little bit. Might be able to get him now. We still got to be careful. The pathing is very, very smart with the AI. They are very good at getting out of these kinds of situations. So you do have to take control a little bit manually sometimes to accurately get them. Because some of the time, well, should we say most of the time, they will be able to outmaneuver the automatic pursuit. And it will be very, very bad indeed. So, thankfully, we have taken back Vanovapol, which is going to increase our territory security at least a little bit. Hello, Ezra. What are you doing here? He's actually from Misui's clan. You know what? It might actually be a pretty decent idea. Should I actually attack this guy? I don't really want to attack him in the field because he's going to have so many cavalry that it's going to be almost insanely difficult and maybe even impossible to not lose at least 30 or so units, which I don't want to do because, as you can see from the auto-resolve, we only lost 8. That's an acceptable loss in my opinion. Now, what I'm actually thinking of doing is letting this guy go, and only because of the relation gain. I don't know whether that's really going to make a huge difference to us in the long run, but I really do want to try and persuade Misui, who I assume is either his mother or just his clan leader. Doesn't really matter either way, but Misui would probably be my next target for any potential persuasion, because as people have indeed mentioned, she does have quite a few fiefs under her control, and it would dismantle the Khuzait from the inside out, or at the very least, that is what we can hope for. And Tile, we're going to have to make whoever owns that completely pay. Who is it again? Godun? Is it Godun? I think it might be him. Anyway, let's see if we can do a little bit of something here. We're just going to build the siege stuff once again, you know, siege towers and battering ram and so on, and then we'll see if we can go in here without too many difficulties. I very much hope that my wounded will have recovered by that time. Ah, an old friend. Yes, I was actually attempting to, of course, besiege Vladiv Castle, but there is a massive army chasing me right now, so I decided, hey, you know what, I'm actually just going to leave it alone, and we'll see if we can maybe do some damage elsewhere. As you can see, they've actually seemingly split off. Have they split off from the army? I'm actually not sure about that, but anyway, basically what I want to do is just murder every single one of these vassals that we can. And I believe Kanojan, if I can get my hands on him, he might very well be our first execution. And I think that might work. That might work quite nicely. I know a couple of people have expressed their support for an execution style progression for the series, and I'm actually thinking that might be something that I am interested in as well, because we haven't done it in a long time. Might be something that could cause some fear, could cause some shaking knees in our opponents. It might make sense. So we'll see if we can do that. Unfortunately, yeah. I feel like this, I don't know, I feel like this really needs to have something done about it, because you can see here I'm moving at 3.7, this guy's moving at 3.7. I personally feel like one of the mods that I saw a while ago actually fixes this really nicely, and basically says, hey, if you're chasing after a guy, and you chase after him for a significant amount of time, you're eventually going to catch him because he's going to slow down. Because in a real-life situation, what happens if one army chases another and the one that's doing the chasing has just better troops? So let's say they have, you know, higher tier athletics in a non-real world situation, obviously, but let's say that they are just better in terms of athleticism and their fitness level is better. They're going to be able to outrun the opponents in the front if they are, of course, on foot, if they are the same on foot. But in this case, obviously, we do have a bunch of horses. Kanojan has a bunch of horses as well. And in my opinion, it very much makes sense for us to try to slow him down. And after a while, his horses are going to get tired. And it makes sense, no? Makes sense, maybe? Anyway, I am going to do something here. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I will see if it does. Now, this may seem very confusing. I just talked about executions. Yes, I know. Don't worry. I'm seeing exactly what is going to go down here. So let me actually just find out. All right, so I can give him... he has 4 million because we gave him so much money in a previous episode. But as you can see, this is not going to work, of course. I mean, I could give him this. No, that's not going to work either. I mean, now, here's the thing. As I said before in a previous episode, if you are going to give a fief to a vassal in exchange for something else, then it is highly recommended to take all of your units out of the garrison and leave it completely defenseless, and then trade that fief. And then if he ends up leaving or whatever, it doesn't matter because he basically has no defenses there and you're going to be able to take them very easily. Anyway, we're just going to be attacking him and we are going to be making him our prisoner. And he, in my opinion, is going to be our first execution. That is exactly what is going to happen now. So let's, you know what? Actually, wait a minute. I'm actually going to save because I haven't done this in such a long time. I haven't done an execution in months. I mean, many, many months, actually. And we're going to see if we can do this without crashing. Because in a previous version, every single time I would go to execute someone, there would be a crash. That was obviously very late in the game, but we're going to try it nevertheless. All right. Greatly, it will negatively affect your reputation. As you can see, this is what happens. Yeah, so they actually do give you a small tooltip now that basically tells you, hey, you're going to be pretty much hated by everyone, but does it matter at this point? Not much. Let's kill him. Boom. You're done. You are done, sir. Alright, and we also do have a number of other people here, but they haven't really done anything, and Curion actually has done something, so I'm going to execute him too. There we go, he's dead. And Dirthart, I could execute him if I wanted to, but he's not particularly necessary, is he? I mean, it's not particularly necessary to execute him right now, so we're just going to leave him alone the way he is, and we will now move on. So now maybe our opponents will start taking us a little bit more seriously, and they will decide not to betray us as readily as they have been so far. Anyway, this guy's actually quite easy for us to catch. He's 0.3 slower than us, which is actually very strange. And there we go. Nice. Another prisoner added to the ranks, and the combat strength of the Khuzait is indeed diminishing as much as it possibly can, at least. Is this guy moving as fast as me? No, he is not. So this is good. This is good as well. And I can only hope that we will be able to find Misui, because if we could find Misui, we might be able to persuade her to join us. As far as I'm aware, she actually does join people for free I think she does, at least. If she doesn't, then obviously that's kind of a bit of a sad revelation, but still, it would be quite nice if we could get her. So, we'll see what happens, but otherwise I think we are alright. 700 units. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, thank you very much. Not a big fan of that. Tesla has been captured, very nice. 474. I'm thinking about taking this town here. 593. That is actually not even bad. Who owns this again? Isn't this Godoon or something like that? Yes, it indeed is. Okay, so wait a minute. As far as I'm aware, yes, he is the only clan member still alive. Where is he? He was last seen near Alov, which is right about here. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Anyway, let's have a look. Glavstrom. Glavstrom, where is that? Ah, there. Ooh, he is close by. Alright. I'm thinking this is gonna be quite good. If I can make this work, this will probably be one of the greatest moments of this series so far. But obviously, if is a pretty big question at this point. Well, that's quite the revelation. Look at that guy. He's, that's Monchug. Yes, that is Monchug running around with 1,250 units. Technically, what I could do is I could run some interference here, and I could basically get him to just, well, chase me until his army disbands, which is probably a pretty good strategical tactic to use, but it is a little bit cheesy. It is a little bit cheesy, and I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. I know, may not seem that way, but it really depends. It really depends on the kind of situation, but you can technically try to take advantage of the AI and how weird they can be sometimes. As I've demonstrated in the past, they are a little bit strange when it comes to defending things or indeed attacking things. If there is a defender nearby or within a certain distance, then you can basically just move back and forth between the two and perpetually stop them from besieging something. So it pretty much just wastes their time, wastes their cohesion decay, and indeed wastes their food as well. So it really makes a huge difference to be able to manipulate them in such a way. But obviously it is a little bit cheap. So I don't know whether I really want to do that right now, but what I would like to do... What? Vanovapol is... What? Did they take it back? Okay, apparently the Khuzait took it back or something. Apparently they took back Vanovapol, which is kind of interesting. And oh, Godoon is last seen near Vladiv Castle, so does that mean he's actually in that army? Yes, I think it probably means that. That would be amusing. Ooh, Servik. No, you're not getting it, sir. I'm going to give it to Fafan this time around. Servik, I do not want him to get anything, basically, because if he gets something, it's going to be pretty bad for us. Did he bring over Oxhall? No, you see, he didn't even bring over Oxhall, so what use is he, really? If I can think about it in such a cutthroat manner. But yeah, he's not really going to contribute that much, although he is, of course, bringing his clan's strength to the forefront. That's pretty nice, but otherwise, that's pretty much it. Anyway, let's see if we can build the siege ram, build the siege towers, and so on, and maybe we can indeed distract Monchug's army. I assume Godoon is indeed inside that army, and as a result, I won't be able to speak to him or anything like that. My plan was basically to go and speak to him, basically say, hey, are you wanting to maybe rejoin the Sturgians? And then get him to rejoin, and then, well, try to kick him out. I was actually wanting to kick him out, or attempting to strip his fiefs from him and then kick him out, or something along those lines, and then maybe try to execute him at some point in the future. But it seems like Monchug is here. I can't even see who's in his army because he has so many units. But this is exactly the reason why I mentioned about the strategic benefits of basically baiting the enemy vassals. And you can see here, look at this, I can literally just slip by him super easily because he has such a slow moving army, and he will never be able to catch us, not in a million years, not unless there's another army coming this way with about the same combat strength. And even then, I would probably be able to avoid them in some way or another. But yeah. Anyway, oh, hello. You might be someone that I would like to speak to. Would you stop for a second? Okay, apparently he's not. 2.3. Oh, we're moving at 2.4. Okay, that's perfect. That's absolutely fine. So let me see if I can maybe get him. There we go. Nice. Okay, and oh, what? These guys have been released? Was this person actually holding all of my friendly vassals prisoner? If that is indeed the case, then that was a very good action to take. I had no idea. But it could just be that they were released just as a matter of course. I'm not entirely sure, but yes. Well, let's take a quick look then, shall we? Let's take a quick look at the combat strength that's currently going on here. So yeah, it is coming down to the wire once again. And by that I mean it's Sturgia or X faction versus Crusade. And I'm going to actually ask you a question right now, because for those of you that are playing Bannerlord either alongside me or have played it in the past, have you ever seen the Crusade get eliminated first? And by which faction were they eliminated? I'm extremely intrigued to find out the answer to that, because in every single series, if you've seen every single series of mine, then thank you very much. I appreciate the support. But if you have, then you'll know that the Crusade are always very strong and extremely difficult to dislodge. And I've never seen them on the back foot. I have always seen them doing something incredibly powerful, incredibly useful, and pretty much always having a pretty rapid expansion into Sturgian territory. And I suppose this is exactly the reason why, because they are indeed taking these massive armies and doing, well, pretty significant damage to all the areas surrounding them as well. And now look at this. Monchog's army, right? Monchog's army is gone over here. I assume he's going to attempt to take Vanovapol again. I obviously can't see him, so I have no idea whether he is actually attempting to do that. But if he is, then that's actually not a big deal, because what I can do is I can besiege this, and I can indeed try to waste more of his time. And now bear in mind that once he does lose cohesion, I will be able to prey upon the separate vassals as they disperse, shall we say. Ah, it looks as though they have taken Vanovapol back, which is to be expected, of course. So Monchog obviously did not deem it necessary to come back here and try to defend Vladiv Castle, which is, you know, I mean, that's a very solid strategic decision on his part, and a pretty good one. I gotta say, I was not anticipating the AI to be that smart. I thought to myself, you know what, they're going to come back and they're going to try and defend Vladiv Castle once again and basically just try to waste their time as much as possible, but apparently they didn't. So we're going to get a free castle here. This is basically going to be free, because no matter what happens, this is a done deal. I don't think they can really do much to us unless they surprise me in some way or another, which has happened before. Case in point, previous siege, slipping off the walls and almost dying. Okay, shh. Don't mention it. Don't mention it. It's okay. Everything's fine. Yeah, it happens to me more often than you'd think. I know I've said that before, but it's true. It's actually kind of. Is it frightening? It might actually be frightening how much it actually happens. And it's happened to me throughout the Mount & Blade series as well. I mean, I've been playing the Mount & Blade franchise for, let me see now, over 8 years, right? Over 8 years I've been playing Mount & Blade in its various forms, various mods, you know, Fire and Sword and the original a little bit as well, and all kinds of different total conversions and so on. And now obviously we're playing Bannerlord. Now, I never thought I'd say those words, by the way, but yes, now we're playing Bannerlord. Anyway, point is, I've always had issues staying on top of walls and not falling off. And it's actually scary. It is actually really scary. I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on with that. But yeah, it generally tends to happen quite often. Anyway, let's hope that the Khuzait marksmen are not going to absolutely tear every single one of these absolute imbeciles who are not using their shields at all apart. Right, so I'm not entirely sure. What? Where are you going? Where you go? Are you serious? Are they serious right now? That was actually hilarious. Okay, I was not expecting that. I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm just going to tell them to charge in now because obviously we have the siege tower here, so it makes sense for them to use it. But no, they actually wanted to continue just running in. Ah, it's because this wasn't fully down. Oh, okay, I understand now. I understand. Okay, so that's the reason why. I think I'm actually going to die here. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to die here unless... I mean, here's the thing. This is very high up. My shield is about to be destroyed. You can see here that the enemy is doing some pretty significant damage to me. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything here. Ah, get him. Get him. Maybe I... Oh, there we go. Now you're running. Now you're running. That's what you get. Come on now. I'm going to take out my two-handed. There's no point in using a one-handed any foot... any further. Look at, do you see I send these oh my wait, can I look, do you see one eye is literally like, oh, and the other eye is like, yes, I am prepared for whatever you may have for me, but apparently no. Oh, yeah, I was talking, you know. I was talking and indeed apparently forming some kind of prophecy that I was going to once again fall off the walls and perish. Yes. Lovely. Oh, and it seems like we have a death on our hands. This is actually one of our companions. I don't particularly care about him that much. No offense, Nolden the hyena. Don't really care about him. But he's dead. And, well, I don't think anyone will miss him. Did you even know I had a companion called that? No, because you've never seen him. He's basically been running around, operating my caravans pretty much all the time, and that's pretty much it. That's all he's been doing. So, he will be sorely missed. That's what I'll tell his family. Yes, he will be sorely missed. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, then please, by all means, leave a like. It is greatly appreciated. And otherwise, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.